Hello everybody and welcome to more Bandit Survivor, but just with a little bit less effort. So if you do know me, it might be because of that channel where I cover Survivor US, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa, and now seemingly Survivor UK. So we've sort of been drip fed over the past few months a little bit of information. Like first we learnt that Survivor UK was coming back, and then we learnt about the host, and now finally we have got an actual trailer, not just Survivor Australia and hyping up Survivor UK. It's actually sort of footage from the show, which is exciting to see. So I'm going to be going through a few articles, kind of learning some information about Survivor UK and breaking it down, also giving my perspective as always. So I'm from Northern Ireland, so it's super exciting to see finally Survivor UK return. A lot of people actually, even super fans in the Survivor community, don't actually know that we used to have our own Survivor here in the UK. We had a 2001 edition and a 2002 edition. So that was season or series, what we would call here in the UK, series 1 and 2, and then it just completely died. And I'll be going into why that was and sort of maybe potholes to avoid for this 2013 edition. So firstly, this information from the Mirror says there's a first look at BBC's Survivor trailer as the hit show returns after 21 years. So again, 2023 now it is. We haven't seen Survivor since 2002, so it's pretty crazy that we're finally getting it back here. So the 16-part series, which features a £100,000 cash prize, sees contestants put onto tribes and then battle to avoid being voted out and remain in camp. So this last half of the sentence is pretty much your standard Survivor, but there's two key pieces of information right at the start. So firstly, it's a 16-part series. There's going to be 16 episodes. That's what I take from it. And they're all going to be 60 minutes long or 1 hour. I believe that includes advertisements, or what you would refer to in America as commercials. So we're probably looking at our similar 42, 43-minute episode when you take out all the advertisements. And then the second part is that this features a £100,000 cash prize. And I've seen criticism online about this cash prize. A lot of people say that it's not enough for Survivor, and I agree. Like if you're a super fan like me, I've obviously applied for Survivor UK. I didn't get in. It would be a bit weird to suddenly say, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'll be in this trailer." But if you're someone that's a bit more of a casual fan, or if you're just browsing through shows looking to apply, when you learn you have to starve on an island for near 40 days for a only £100,000 cash prize, again, considering it's a 1 in 18 chance, it might not seem too appealing. Now, this actually isn't the production's fault. This isn't the people that make Survivors. That's not their issue. They're not being stingy with the money. It's because there's actually boundaries set up in TV and media in the UK that means that £100,000 can be the maximum cash prize. So that's why you see a lot of like panel shows in the UK, because they can have lower cash prizes because they're not making people do this crazy Survivor experience. I'm interested to see if that limit applies to just cash, because obviously in Survivor you have things like the car reward and some other non-necessarily money related rewards. So it'll be interesting if, say, someone wins the car reward and then they go on to win the show. I assume that would be all right. So you might be able to get, I don't know, £150,000 in cash if it's a £50,000 car. So that'll add it up a bit. Also, this isn't including taxes. I believe it's just straight up £100,000. I know that Survivor US claims to give you $1 million, but after taxes, I think it's about 700,000. 650,000, something like that. So that will be interesting to see how much is scaled back for runners-up, how much is scaled back for people that make the merge, and even individuals that are eliminated pre-jury, because I think even in Survivor US they give money to the contestants that are eliminated first. Like I think it's $1,000, and then it used to be $10,000 for if you showed up to the live reunion show. Obviously that's gone now, but hopefully they make an exception for Survivor, because again, you think of like your British shows like Tipping Point, for example. You might only have to book 2 days off work to go out and play Tipping Point in a studio. You have your hotel booked for you. You know, you have a shower, you have nice food, you're nice and relaxed. You go on a show, you win, I don't know, £1,000, £4,000, for example, and then you call it a day. It's only 2 days out of your life. This pretty much requires a person that has a job, a standard job at least, to book 6 weeks off on holidays, or else quit their job. That's pretty much what you'll be looking at, unless you have a very lenient boss. A lot of people that go out and play Survivor, they don't come home to a job. So that's why, you know, there's quite a good bit of cash money involved in it. So that might also be an issue. Someone looks at this and says, well, you know, I get £100,000 if I win, but I'm making, you know, £30,000 a year in my job, and I'll have to quit my job to play Survivor. So that might also be a bit of an issue for more standard individuals that are looking to go on this TV show. So TV viewers have been given their first look at new primetime reality TV series Survivor, which is coming to BBC later this year. I believe it's on BBC One and the iPlayer, so make sure to check it out. I certainly will be. So again, all that information. The teaser video released by the BBC during the Women's Wimbledon final showed host Joel Dommett and some of the action filmed in the Dominican Republic this summer. So again, lots of information. Firstly, this is being filmed in the Dominican Republic, which is the Caribbean, so it's a nice tropical area, lots of sand. Should have a lot of space for them to be able to build adequate challenges in. I have no doubt about that. And then the host is Joel Dommett. So Joel, he's probably most well known for being a host of, what's the show? The Masked Singer UK. But he's also done other hosting jobs. I believe he's also been on other panel shows, like I believe I've seen him on Would I Lie to You? I saw him on Celebrity Pointless. Alongside James Acaster. They have some of my funniest moments. I just laugh so much when I see them on screen. For example, James, I'll try and insert some footage of that show in here now, like James breaking the iPad and the entire set, and Joel desperately trying to piece it back together, and then James and Joel convincing 6 other comedians to sit down on the ground. That was really fun. But anyway, back to this. Yeah, Joel, I have no doubt in my mind, will be an individual that is very fit for the job and will do it very well. He was very excited in January when he was announced to be the host, and I think he understands that it's a great privilege to be a host of a region Survivor, and I'm sure that he'll take it in his stride. He's someone that, again, as a comedian, he's a host, he's very used to being on camera. I don't think he'll be that nervous, and he's going to be a very confident individual, and don't be surprised if he's going to be bringing some funny quips and trying to make the show maybe a little bit more lighthearted at certain situations in Tribal Council, just because that's the type of person that Joel is. I think he's going to have some very good charisma and chemistry, particularly with the contestants, which is what you want. And also, he starts with J. So that is another Survivor host that starts with J. We've obviously got Jeff Probst, we've got JLP, an Australian Survivor. There's Joel. Shout out to my boy Nico, a non-J host, and he does a fantastic job. So the 18 contestants taking part will catch their own food, build their own shelter, and compete against each other in epic challenges for reward or immunity. Same as always. Nice to see reward challenges making a return. I presume that they mean that pre-merge, because that is something that we've been missing a bit in Survivor US. Those who win immunity are safe from being voted out at the game at the iconic Tribal Council. Okay, so same stuff. And then basically this just goes into Survivor. As we know, they play for immunity. And then this is a bit of the history. So TV bosses have attempted to make Survivor once before on British TV. It ran on ITV from 2001 to 2002, but the new BBC version will be all action and closer to the series made in America and Australia, where it has been a hit for decades. In America, they have just released Series 45 and the show, which may appeal to fans of The Traitors and I'm a Celebrity, goes from strength to strength, receiving an Emmy nomination last week for Outstanding Reality Competition Programme. So, these two paragraphs, let's break it down. So firstly, as I said, Survivor used to be here in the UK through 2001 to 2002, before I was born, well, for the first one, before I was born anyway, and it wasn't necessarily that it was this horrible show that like the ratings were absolutely terrible. It's more so that it got overtaken. So let me tell you a little bit about British history. Is that we as Brits, we love to have our influence felt on shows. So if you look at the big shows right now in the UK, you have like Love Island, you have I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, X Factor was big while it was on, you obviously have Britain's Got Talent. And what do these shows provide? Well, they allow the viewer to interact. So for example, in Love Island, there are specific rounds where you actually get to eliminate a contestant or maybe pick individuals to match together, for example. And that's their way of allowing fan interaction. And basically, Survivor isn't that. You can pre-record Survivor and it doesn't care if you show it, and it doesn't matter if you show it to an audience or not. That doesn't matter. You like the whole thing has basically been played out whether or not an audience is watching it, unlike some of these other shows. Like I'm a Celebrity is very dependent on audiences calling and putting their vote forward. And that's, I believe, the show that actually overtook Survivor, is that I'm a Celebrity is basically just a survival show with your favourite celebrities, and it just beats Survivor in the UK. That's basically it. So that's why you haven't seen it in a while. However, the UK has slowly been getting into these social strategy shows. They shout out The Traitors with Claudia Winkleman, who does a fantastic job. Absolutely love Claudia Winkleman. In the UK, I believe it's also a big thing in the US. We had like Suri and Stephanie LaGrossa play in it. So that sort of social strategy show starting to emerge back in the UK limelight. And I wouldn't be surprised if the success of that in 2022 inspired this to come out in 2023. So new teaser is just the first taste of the all-action show, which is not expected on screen for a few months, as filming has only just been completed, and now it needs to be edited by the makers of Remarkable Entertainment. So that's good to hear. That they're giving them months to edit it. Because for anyone that doesn't know, it's kind of the worst, best kept secret that Love Island, like say for example, they have like a footage, 24 hours of footage for Monday. They have to get that out to the viewers on the show by Thursday. So literally you hear stories about editors down to the very last minute editing that footage for that slot on the TV show. So it's good that they're giving them months to edit it, and hopefully that's enough time, because Survivor, again, it's a very unique show. You need to really carefully build up this story. As we've seen in past Survivor seasons, some of the storylines might not make sense, and it doesn't feel like we have a satisfying winner, and then that can cause issues. So it's good that they're giving them time. It's going to be an all-action show, as we all know with Survivor. And that's pretty much everything else. They also go on to say that Survivor first aired in Sweden in 1997. That is the Robinson Expedition, I believe. And there have been 50 adaptations commissions around the world, which is surprising to me. Like, I knew obviously about the 5 English-speaking ones: Romania, Israel, Greece, Germany, France, but apparently there's like 40 extras that I didn't know, so there goes me. So it's as well as returning to the UK. There's been the first season in French Canada recently, and a reboot in Colombia. Ooh, very good. So yeah, an interesting fact is that Survivor Australia actually, it had its 2 seasons in 2002 and 2006 as a celebrity version, and then it got cut off the air, and then it came back like a decade later in 2016. And obviously now we have Australian Survivor, which is going pretty strong. Had its best season in my opinion in Heroes versus Villains. So it's kind of hopefully going to follow that trajectory. And here we have this new sort of site talking about this trailer, which we're going to be breaking down very quickly. So this is pretty much talking about the same. So it's hosted by Joel Dommett, filming in the Dominican Republic. So they talk about this autumn. So it's going to be coming out this autumn. All the news articles and sites that I see say autumn. They don't specifically say a month. I have heard in the sort of grapevine it might be October time, but don't quote me on that. Autumn is definitely when it's going to be. So there's that. And then they teased us during the Women's Wimbledon final. So that's an end part of this is basically kind of referencing that. So there's nothing else really part of this article. And I'm going to be pausing this trailer quite a bit every few seconds. If you do want to see the trailer, again, it's only 37 seconds long. It's like a teaser trailer, like a teaser trailer. If you do want to watch it without an angry Northern Irish person interrupting it every few seconds, I will leave a link to it in the description, as well as that other article, so you can read up about it and also enjoy the trailer by yourself. So we start off with Joel in this really high-speed boat cruising across the water, which is super cool to see. It's very reminiscent to Jeff Probst and like the 30s of Survivor, but also like JLP more recently. So that's cool. So let's play.
Welcome to a remote corner of the world, where 18 people will take part in the toughest, most challenging reality show on television.
Okay, so firstly, that's Joel commentating that. I know that in Australian Survivor they have an announcer guy, but it's cool to see Joel announcing it. So firstly, he says that it's a remote part of the world. It's the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean. It's going to be interesting to see, because obviously heat is something that's very important in Survivor. Like, for example, in Brains versus Brawn, the Australian Survivor version, they literally had a heat counter. Like, they were going up to 40 degrees Celsius and beyond, which was just showing how insanely hot the environment was. And in the UK, we're very used to the cold. Like, if it's 25 degrees Celsius out here, like, we're dying, we're boiling. So it'll be interesting to see how sort of heat affects the contestants, if it affects them in a different way, if their bodies don't take to it as well as individuals in Australia or America, where obviously they get more sun, because 30 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees Celsius weather will probably make an impact. Also, this is very similar to Australian Survivor 2017, the marooning they did for that. I'm just getting flashbacks to like Jericho and Lockie and Luke in the raining big cargo ship, and the marooning, it seems to take place on this. It looks like it's going to be a classic marooning with the items on board, so I'm excited to see that. I love the 2017 version of it with the cargo ship, so I think that'll be awesome.
They've come to fight it out.
Right, I missed it, but here's another bit. So we actually get like a drone shot from above, which is really cool. Good to see drones. I think that they're really integral to Survivor to see all the footage. But here it seems like your classic marooning challenge, right? Like, you're on this big ship, you have to grab your supplies. That looks like bananas there. That could be like rice on the ground. That looks like fruit down there. And we get some of the contestants overhead shot. The blue tribe looks to be doing really well. They look like they've got a lot of food there. There's some extra food that they'll probably try and collect. And we actually get to start seeing now the tribe breakdown. So this is an 18-person cast. I think originally it was going to be 20, but it's an 18-person cast, which I'm a little bit worried about, because as we've already seen, it's 16 episodes. That means you're pretty much having an elimination every single episode, which sounds fine innately. However, there's a few things you have to consider. Firstly, Survivor is not a great show for being healthy, right? Like, you're gonna get harmed a lot on Survivor, and every few seasons you obviously have a medical evacuation, and you have quits, and also you have what's starting to pop up a little bit more recently, quite alarmingly, in the more recent seasons of Survivor US, ejections. And let's go back to quits, right? As we've seen from Survivor South Africa, Season 6, Philippines, and as we've also seen from Australian Survivor 2016, when a show brings out their first season of the reboot, we get quits. Now, I'm not going to say that it's a guarantee that we get quits. Like, for example, I was doing the application form for this. I tried to apply again. I'll say it again. I tried to apply to be on the show. They had over 50 questions on top of a 2 to 3 minute audition tape. You had to send in pictures of yourself. You had to send in your social media. They wanted to make sure that they were picking the best contestants. I firmly believe that. But there's always the risk of it being a reboot. Contestants are just applying randomly to shows. They see this new show coming up and they're like, all right, okay, I've heard of Survivor before, I might apply. And they don't realize how deadly of a show Survivor is and how dangerous the consequences can be if you're ill prepared. So that's why, in those two reboots, we've seen individuals quitting just because of the elements and such. So that is a little bit of a concern of mine, just because if you do have these eliminations that aren't through tribal council, like medical evacuations or a quit, what's going to happen to the episodes? Are they just going to be non-eliminations? And because you're kind of putting yourself in a box with 18 contestants and 16 episodes to fill that. So I'm not 100% sure. I would have maybe preferred 20 contestants, considering that 16, and maybe you just have like a double boot episode. One tribe boots each person from their tribe, or else you just have like 2 tribal councils, one for one half of the episode, one for the other half, maybe at the merge and on. But it'll be interesting to see how they sort of adapt to that, because that's something that I could see could be an issue. As well as that, it is 2 tribes of 9. And we've got our 2 tribes here. This seems to be not necessarily like an orangey color. It looks more pink, to be honest, like a pinky, creamy, orangey color. So that's 1 tribe here, and then we've got like a blue tribe here. So it's 2 tribes of 9, and I think that is going to be the most underrated format decision that Survivor UK will have done. You can clearly tell that they've done their homework when they're deciding to make 2 tribes of 9, because the other option, and individuals that are familiar with Survivor US are going to cringe at this, they could have done 3 tribes of 6. Okay? And that sounds very familiar. Obviously, Survivor 41 to 44 has done all 3 tribes of 6. They haven't swapped into different tribe formats. They've just kept it 3 tribes of 6. Even Survivor 44 still kept it basically 3 tribes of 6. Like, they didn't swap down to 2 tribes or whatever. So it's a very good decision to have it 2 tribes of 9. I think that that's going to be refreshing. And again, I've said to Survivor US, if you want to show that you're listening to the fans, because they obviously say, oh, we're listening to fans, we'll listen to the feedback. If Survivor US genuinely want to show they're listening to the fans, do what Survivor UK are doing. Make it 2 tribes of 9. That is what people have been asking for. You'll instantly get people on your side. And I feel like 2 tribes of 9, just innately, you're going to have more options. Obviously, Christian Hubicki on the Rob Has a Podcast has talked about how 2 tribes of 9 is better than 3 tribes of 6 in terms of getting more social interaction between contestants. For me, obviously, you get the final 9 round instantly, which I think is a fantastic round of gameplay. You have the 5-4 round, you have 4-3-2. Then if you get through a few more eliminations, it's down to the final 7. You have the 4-3 round, you have the 3-2-2 round, and those are really exciting rounds that just bring a lot of drama. And on bigger tribes, you have more options, you have more people, so you have more agency innately, rather than what we're seeing with the 3 tribe format right now, which is just picking off people on the bottom. I could see them doing a traditional swap at the final 15 and swapping into 3 tribes of 5, maybe like a 12-person merge. I think that would be a pretty good idea to go forward with. But you can definitely see the Australian Survivor influence in Survivor UK, which I'm not opposed to be honest.
In a strategic game that will push them physically, mentally, and emotionally. Who will outwit, outplay, and outlast all the others?
Right, so I'm going to actually rewind here. Joel says, he emphasizes the word physically, right? I want you to count the challenges and think about the words you would use to describe these challenges, okay?
Who will outwit, outplay, and outlast all the others?
Right, so we have 3, in my opinion, very physical challenges. It could end up being like Australian Survivor Blood versus Water, where they're just going down a dive pit, and then, like, I don't know, someone's doing like a puzzle down there, but typically these challenges lead into like physical challenges of physical altercations. So like, you're trying to grab a hoop and you're trying to throw it over a stick, or you're trying to get a ball, or you're trying to get a bag with supplies. This could be, I don't know, like a reward challenge, because we've seen that done in Champions vs Contenders. So we'll have to see, but that's a physical challenge.
Will outwit.
This is another physical challenge. This is the Survivor US Season 20 Marooning Challenge, I think.
Outplay and out.
So they're trying to like grab like a bag here, it seems. And again, another physical challenge. And then this one here, like, this is basically just an Australian Survivor challenge. So they're dragging these really big, heavy, sort of like wooden caskets almost, and you can see the tricolours there. That's a nice touch. So Survivor US have sort of stemmed away from doing more physical, especially stemmed away from physical challenges, especially challenges that require physical altercations, mainly from my opinion, due to the injury risk, I think that's very fair. Obviously, Australian Survivor is still very physical, and you have a lot of physical altercations in the challenges. Seems like Survivor UK will still be keeping that more physical vibe to it. Which I think do lead to more visually appealing challenges, in my opinion. It's good to see that we're not just ending up with maybe just the relay course into a puzzle. Like, we're seeing some variation, like a slip and slide into, like a bag pull, or like a bag grab challenge. So there could be some very nice variation here, which I'll appreciate if so.
All the others to become the sole survivor. The tension and excitement here is building like the Wimbledon final. This is Survivor.
So we have this really cool outro picture. This is very reminiscent to Survivor South Africa, with this big sort of gong piece here, like this gold and bronze thing, and then the host standing in front of it. I can just see Nico standing in front of it. Very cool Survivor logo as well. And then he obviously shouts out the Wimbledon final. So Joel's just there, and it's good to see. Like, Joel, I think, is someone that's very passionate about the show, and he has an understanding that this could be a very big show in the UK, and I genuinely believe it will be a very big show in the UK, because there's a lot of Survivor fans that are in the UK for a country that doesn't even have Survivor. Like, when I look at my analytics, say for example, like a video that's got like 10k views or something, like 3 to 4% of that will be from the UK. So like, that's 300 and 400 people that choose to watch YouTube videos about Survivor in a region that doesn't even have Survivor in it, you know what I mean? So I definitely think there's an audience there for it, and the audience is only going to expand when more people in the UK actually learn about this great show that is Survivor. Alright, I just had to cut because I had to gather my thoughts, but basically you can sort of tell that they're taking inspiration from both Survivor US and Survivor Australia. I think it's like a 50-50 split that we're seeing coming into this. The cast, sort of, the 18-person cast and the episodes feel very reminiscent of Survivor UK, and then the challenges and sort of the marooning challenge feels very similar to Australian Survivor. In fact, if I go back to here, this challenge, I'm pretty sure, this was basically the challenge from Australian Survivor 2017. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a rice dilemma up on the shore here, where they either have to grab food from the boat or go out and get rice. Excuse me, what like those contestants had to do. But it's nice to actually see footage from the show and not just Australian Survivor Champions vs Contenders 2. So we have our first sneak peeks, but that's pretty much all I have to say about Survivor UK. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because I'll be really interested to know about them. Currently, I don't know anything about the cast apart from these few shots, and even then you can't really get a good look at their faces. So when more information comes out about the cast, I will be probably making a video on it. I'm not sure if on the main channel I'll be talking about Survivor UK. I might try and integrate it into like my top 5 or my top 10 content, and sort of keeping more Survivor UK based content on this channel at the moment, just to see how things work out. But hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because hopefully we'll have more videos like this coming. And also make sure to check out my main channel, because I do edited videos that I work hard on, and I collaborate with friends, and I also do some pretty unique video ideas. But thanks for watching. Peace.